All right, let's move on. Copa America starts Thursday. Argentina taking on Canada. We got to get our wagers in. So time for a Copa America look-ahead edition of Book It. Our very first category here is what Herc used to get paid to do. The goal scorers. Who do you think, Herc, is taking home the golden boot at Copa America 2024?
Woo! Some chances to make some money here, but there is only one way for me to make money here, and that is not betting against Messi. I learned my lesson. I will take Messi at plus 300. This is very simple, Seb. Messi's got 108 international goals. When it comes to big tournaments, Copa America or the World Cup, he's got 26 goals, 25 assists in just those two tournaments, in the tournaments that he's played. In fact, in the last Copa America, he had 4 goals. In the last World Cup, he had 7 goals. He's going to take all the set pieces. He's going to take all the penalties. He's going to be a focal point in a very good national team's attack. And oh, by the way, he'll also be playing home throughout. He owns the U.S. Everywhere he goes, it will be full. There will probably be the most well-traveled national team, more supported national team in this Copa America. It's all catered for him. And like I said when I started this, I have learned my lesson.
Yes, thank you.
I am not betting against Messi in a 7 games for a trophy style tournament, especially in the United States. I'll take Messi at plus 300.
Of course. You mentioned the fact that he takes penalties, and we know Argentina get a lot of penalties as well.
Here we go.
There it is.
Steady.
Lionel Messi, actually, I mean, at plus 300, he's kind of the obvious choice. It's not a bad value. I think I like one player slightly more than Lionel Messi, and that is Darwin Núñez, who is a slightly better value as well, going off at plus 450. Now, I know what you're thinking, Herc. Here's Seb, classic Seb, prisoner of the moment. Watch Darwin Núñez destroy Mexico, drop a hat trick on El3, and that's what he's going with. And you're not wrong. I definitely watched that game and saw Darwin Núñez and said, man, this guy is looking good, and he's going to do some damage. But if you look at his recent play for Uruguay, and I know he frustrates some Liverpool fans here and there, he has scored goals and scored big goals against these teams in World Cup qualifiers. He scored against Brazil. He scored against Uruguay. He scored against Brazil. He scored against Colombia. He scored against Argentina. And so when you're scoring against those teams who are likely who you're going to see late in this tournament, and I do think Uruguay is going to be there late in this tournament, I think Darwin Núñez, Herc, at plus 450 is a very good value to take on the Golden Boot.
I took Darwin Núñez for Golden Boot at the World Cup. That was very similar odds, if not just slightly greater.
Wow.
0 goals.
Yeah.
0 goals.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I learned my lessons, but I don't learn your lessons.
Yes,
all right,
true,
buddy?
that's true.
Okay. All right, let's move on to our next category, which is stage of elimination. Now, you're going to have to do stage of elimination for the U.S., and I'll do stage of elimination for Mexico. What are you taking here?
All right, let me just start off with why would I take, because the obvious here, because you could say, well, they could potentially face Colombia or Brazil in the quarterfinals. Why would I take
the odds makers are telling you it's going to be the quarterfinals.
Why
minus
would I
145.
Why would I take minus 145? It doesn't make sense to me. I want to make some money. So what sounds good to me? Plus
well, you don't want to
550.
lose money. You don't want to lose money, though. Remember.
Well, think about this
that's
for
how
a
this
second.
thing works.
No, that's fine. But think about this for a second. Plus 550 for them to make the semifinals. What needs to happen for them to make the semifinals? Can they do it? Win one game. Can they get out of the group? Absolutely. I expect them to get out of the group. I expect them to get out of the group. Can they get out of the group in first place to avoid playing what I think...
Does it really matter? I mean, Brazil or Colombia, they're dogs.
No, hold on. It does matter. Hasta entre perros hay razas. Even with dogs, there are certain types of breeds.
Yes,
okay?
yes.
So forget about the dogs. I'd rather get a little Chihuahua than a Doberman or a Rottweiler. There's just certain types of dogs I'd rather see. I want to avoid Colombia. In order to avoid Colombia, you have to come in first place in your group. I think Colombia is going to come in first place. Okay? So that means, do you have to beat Uruguay? No. That's the beauty of this schedule. You get Bolivia, Panama. In the third game, you could literally not even win, just manage a result, and you come in first in your group. And then potentially get a Brazil, which I think favorably, it's a great matchup for the U.S. men's national team. They're already off a little. I mean, it's not recency bias. It's a better matchup than Colombia. Colombia is one of the hottest teams in the world right now. 22 games unbeaten. They've won the last 7. It's an actual dog of a team. It's my dark horse in this tournament. I would want to avoid them. And one game at plus 550, yeah, I'll take that.
I'm fascinated by the odds here because what the odds makers are saying at minus 145 is that that's where the U.S. is really expected to go out. And I think that's what we all agree. What's interesting to me is what's the analysis Herc going to be after when they win 2 games and either draw or lose to Uruguay, lose in the quarterfinals, don't win a knockout game, right? Which is what we were sold was the evolution of this program and how we're going to all analyze how they were growing and all this. That's the next step, make the world respect us. At home, you don't win a single knockout round game. They do what the odds makers are telling us they're going to do. Are we going to say that's a successful tournament, or are we going to say that's a failure? Because it's very easy to say it's a failure if it's a group phase exit. It's very easy to say it's a success if it's a semifinal, no matter what happens in that semi. But that quarterfinal is fascinating to me because the how of that could be whether Greg Berhalter keeps his job or whether he doesn't. And I just can't believe it's minus 145. That screams that that's where they're going out.
The margins for error are so thin, so slim at this level. And I'll go back to the biggest achievement in modern football for the U.S. men's national team, the 2002 World Cup run that everybody says that 2002 team was such a great team. They went 1-1-1 in group play. Sure, they surprised Portugal in the opening game. They couldn't beat South Korea and had to get help after getting smashed 3-1 to Poland by South Korea, who beat Portugal, for them to go on to the next round and beat a CONCACAF opponent to then lose to the German side in quarterfinals. The greatest achievement in U.S. men's national team modern-day history was 1-1-1 in the group phase and beat a CONCACAF opponent. So I know exactly where you're going with this, and many will say it's a failure, and it might be a failure, Seb, but it's that slim. Those are your margins.
All right, so you've done stage of elimination for the U.S. I'll do it for Mexico. And unlike the United States here, the odds makers don't really know what's going to happen with Mexico because all of the options here, Herc, are plus money. Now, the one that pays out the least is the quarterfinals at plus 135. But I've been talking with the primo. We've been discussing quite a bit. And my primo told me, you know what? I think the smart move here is the emotional hedge. And so I think I look at this and I see the values. There's no way Mexico's making a semifinal. There's no way that if this team gets out of the group, they're winning a knockout round game. Just not going to happen. Just not going to happen. They're just not good enough. Honestly, I don't really see them getting to the quarterfinals. I don't think this team is good enough to get out of this group. There's been some recent developments, okay? Jamaica, who I thought was going to be a very weak team in this group, suddenly has Leon Bailey. Suddenly has Andre Blake on the roster, even though he had knee surgery. Suddenly, Jamaica's back to a potential threat. On top of that, you've got Venezuela, who has always given Mexico a tough time, including a draw at the last Copa America Centenario, which was actually probably a game Venezuela should have won, if we're being honest. And that was a good Mexico back in 2016. And then Ecuador, which is a very good team right now and has put together some very good results down in World Cup qualifying. They're on quite a run themselves. I see Mexico going out in the group stage here, Herc. I'm protecting myself a little bit I'm protecting my primo a little bit here because if it happens, we're going to be plus 290 happier. But tell me I'm crazy to see Mexico going out in the group.
All right, let me play devil's advocate for mis amigos mexicanos for a second, okay? Mm-hmm. This great Jamaica squad that you speak of, while it's given Mexico problems, it's not beaten Mexico in the last 5 years. Okay, that's a reality. It hardly has ever beaten Mexico when it's mattered. There are internal problems within that own federation, and this team never plays to the level of what we see the names on paper. This Venezuela team historically has been manhandled by Mexico. It is a team that has some very interesting names, but a little top-heavy, and Mexico is going to be a very, very overwhelming favorite everywhere they play because of the home crowds. And Ecuador, this Ecuadorian team you speak of, and again, I'm playing devil's advocate for mis amigos mexicanos. Do you see what they did against the most powerful Honduras team of all time who's not in this tournament? They barely squeaked out a win, 2-1, just a few days ago. It was that bad. Now, you talk about this quarterfinal game. If they go on first place with honestly, it could happen. I don't think if Mexico goes first place, any of us would be shocked. Like we wouldn't be shocked if they get grouped. That's a reality. If they don't make
I'd be shocked if they finish first. I would be.
Hold on for a second. If they finish first, they will play against the second place in Argentina's group, which Peru, Chile, Canada.
It's as accessible as you're going to find, Herc, but would you really bet on them to win a knockout round game? This Mexico, Herc, I get it. It's the easier path, but it's this Mexico. You've said it a million times. It's the worst Mexico we've ever seen.
I am playing devil's advocate para mis amigos mexicanos. You said it yourself. The road is much more easier. Yeah. You said it yourself. The second place team is not a great team, is not a great opponent out there. It's one game to a semifinal. Can it happen? Yes, it can happen.
Where do you think they go out?
Group.
There it is. Look at that. Look at that. The devil's advocate comes around at the end of the day. All right. So we've got stage of elimination done for both of these. Last but not least in our Book It segment, look ahead to Copa America. Who's going to win it all? Argentina, the odds makers favorites at plus 175. After that, it's Brazil, Uruguay, Colombia, and then the USA and Mexico. Look at that, USA plus 1,100. Herc, you pick any Americans?
No, not today, Sebi. Not today. But not because I don't believe they can make a run. I just don't believe they can win the tournament. You know, you win this tournament, you might as well be a favorite to win the World Cup. That's a reality. I think Copa America is a very good tournament when you get to the cream of the crop, when you get to the elite of the elite. Listen, smart money is Argentina plus 175. The players they have, Messi being one of them. I already told you I think he's going to be the leading goal scorer of this team. Well coached, defensive. They're going to be the home team throughout this tournament. But I'm going to go with Colombia because I like to bet for enjoyment. I don't bet because I need the money. And you should not bet if you need the money. Walk away if you need the money.
Big time.
But if you want to enjoy and make some money, plus 1,100 for the hottest team in the world right now. The hottest team in the world son los colombianos. They are a team that's on a 22-game unbeaten streak, smashing teams, beating very good teams. Argentina, Brazil, Uruguay, these type of teams, they've played them, they've beat them. This is a team that does very well in a good moment. That's a team, not a bunch of individuals, an actual team. At plus 1,100 to be my dark horse in this tournament, yeah, I like that. I'll take that.
All right, so Colombia at plus 1,100. Definitely not prisoner of the moment, though we did just see them wallop the United States by a score of 5-1. My pick, not quite as hipster at yours at plus 1,100, but still kind of far out there. I'm not going with either one of the two tournament favorites in Argentina or Brazil. I'm going with Uruguay. Also, perhaps a little bit prisoner of the moment, having seen what they did, of course, against Mexico 4-0. This is obviously a well-drilled team. It's an experienced team. They've got Darwin Nunez, as I said. I think he's going to be the top scorer in this tournament. Honestly, Herc, I'm looking at this kind of in a big picture kind of bracket sense. I see Uruguay winning their group with the U.S., which puts them obviously on the opposite side of the bracket as Argentina. I do think it's going to be an Argentina against Uruguay final. I don't really see too much of a difference between the two of them there, but I'm going with Uruguay because it's a little bit more of a payoff. I'm curious as to why you didn't pick Brazil and Argentina. For me, Brazil, we've talked about, maybe not the Brazil that they've been in recent years. Obviously, we saw them against the United States, didn't look their best. For Argentina, my only logic is this. I feel like the margins were so thin for them at the World Cup, right? A couple games that they win on penalties. They just barely get past Australia. It almost went to extra time in that game in the knockout rounds. And I just wonder if 18 months removed, partially due to age, partially due to a drop down in level, now playing in Major League Soccer, if Messi is just a little bit less than what he was, and if that little bit less is what's going to cost Argentina in this tournament. That's why I'm picking Uruguay here, because I think Messi may not be quite everything that he was in Qatar.
I already told you, I picked Argentina. My dark horse is Colombia, and that's why I went there with the plus 1,100. I want to make some money. Let me tell you why I didn't pick Uruguay. There's a couple of reasons I didn't pick Uruguay. One is the system. The system is not conducive.
He doesn't believe in Bielsa.
Well, that's my number two. But number one is the system. When you play that type of pressing, when you play and you have to have that type of engine, to go 7 games and maintain that type of fitness, that type of press, is very, very unlikely. I think The farther they go, the less it's likely, even though they are the team that's won this tournament the most out of any other South American team on this planet, I don't see them going that far because of their system, because of how high intensity and physically demanding that system is. And number two, it's Bielsa. Bielsa, while he may be grandfather to systems for Pep Guardiola and Pochettino and very many other coaches who admire Bielsa, when you look at that trophy cabinet, the vitrina, it's awfully dusty and empty.
Ooh, okay, all right. So, Herc, you're on the record pick is Argentina. Your long shot pick is Colombia. I'm taking Uruguay with all my picks here on Book It at plus 500 to win Copa America.